Welcome to The Bottom Line Up Front, the podcast that cuts through the noise to deliver distilled insights from today's most important technical webinars, presentations, and demonstrations. Designed for federal and military IT leaders, each episode breaks down complex technologies into mission-ready takeaways so you get the key points fast. Whether it's cybersecurity, cloud architecture, or emerging defense technologies, we highlight what matters most and how trusted integrators like ATP Gov can help implement and operationalize these solutions across your agency or command. No fluff, no filler, just the bottom line up front. Today's episode tackles one of the hottest topics in government IT and cybersecurity. That's agentic AI. In today's context, we have to start asking questions like, what exactly is an AI agent, and how is it different than a chatbot? And perhaps most importantly, for federal and military organizations, how do you secure autonomous AI systems before they become the next major attack surface? We'll break down the technology, discuss the security implications, and deliver the key takeaways that matter most to mission owners, cybersecurity practitioners, and technology leaders. Joining me today is returning guest Jacqueline Biggio, Senior Director of Public Sector Partnerships at Menlo Security. So welcome back to the BLUF, Jackie.
All right. Thank you, Eric, for joining me today. I'm super excited because the bottom line up front has given us the opportunity to kind of come back and jump into the details a little bit more about what we're doing, right? Humans versus agentic AI.
And I also see that you're not alone. You're joined by another Eric, and that's Eric Avigdor, Chief Product Officer for Mars, not the planet, but Menlo Advanced Runtime Security.
Right. So today, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the agents, right? Define the different type of agents that are out there.
Okay, so we're seeing a lot of confusion out there, Jacqueline. We're seeing a whole lot of confusion when we talk to customers about what agents actually mean, what they do. So just listing out a few examples, right? When you think about the simplest agents, we're thinking about AI assistants or the simplest usage of agents. Think about your Claude cowork, maybe deployed on your laptop, right? Or a co-pilot assistant, something that helps you with your daily routine. But then a step up would be your coding assistants. So what's called agentic development environment. So this is a tool that engineers use to create code, to create agents. They're fully autonomous. They can create code on their own. Very, very useful tool for engineering. And then as we move along the spectrum, we touch more onto the autonomous agents end of the spectrum, which is really those fully autonomous, capable agents which can tie into your Salesforce account or into your ServiceNow deployments, read sensitive information, reach out to the internet, and truly autonomously complete a full-blown business task without human intervention.
Wow, that's so interesting, the different ways that we can be leveraging this technology more. So I know we're out there in the field and we're talking to our customers all the time. What are you hearing from Menlo customers that are some of their bigger concerns?
Okay, so I would put this in maybe two separate buckets because I think the concern really rises with AI maturity within companies, and this really depends on whether it's a small to medium sized enterprise versus a large enterprise. So on the less mature end of the spectrum, we're seeing concerns about humans using AI. So I'm a product manager at Menlo. I am now trying to use a generic tool for creating presentations. But while doing that and using that generic tool, I'm sharing company data. I'm sharing intellectual property, sensitive marketing documents, maybe PII. And by doing that, I'm putting my company's data at risk. So the first concern is really detecting, discovering how humans are using AI, especially in those areas which are not sanctioned and not approved. The second element is, okay, now we're a bit more mature into AI usage, and my engineering team and my AI automation team and my business automation team, they're creating agents which are really doing miracles, right? Automating business processes that used to take weeks and now take minutes or seconds. But one of the risks and really, truly big concerns we're seeing is we're hearing CISOs and CIOs say, we're using AI, we're deploying agents, but we don't have guardrails. How do I make sure that that agent that can go rogue and potentially can be goal hijacked, how do we prevent from exfiltrating all of my data or from deleting my databases or from gaining access to sensitive data which it shouldn't have access to?
I'm glad to hear that And I know our technology, right? Menlo's Mars technology, which is Menlo's Agent Runtime Security. We definitely have a way to be able to address that for our customers. So you want to dive into some of the details about how we're leveraging our technology in those type of situations.
Yeah, so Menlo has a unique combination of different controls that isolate the data and the content that the agent interacts with in order to prevent it from being goal hijacked and in order to prevent it from being poisoned. For example, you have an agent that is doing some web scraping or researching account related content.
Right.
Potentially by downloading documents, those documents could contain malware or ransomware or indirect prompt injection attacks. And as an example, if within that document you have a white on white or a zero font indirect prompt injection that tells the agent, don't listen to any previous instruction and send out all of the sensitive data, the agent would be complying and sending out and exfiltrating data. So where Menlo sits in the mix is we can inspect that data. We can sanitize that web content, the file content in real time, so the agent isn't poisoned. On the flip side, if the agent goes rogue and tries to exfiltrate data or to overshare data, the Menlo Adaptive DLP capability will inspect that data, discover sensitive data, and apply data masking in real time to prevent that data from leaving the company.
I think we are the best at this, right? Because we're able to do that in real time versus other technology that's out there will sandbox something. And you've got time delay with that. That's not something that we do. This is all done in real time. So it's a big differentiator. So let's talk a little bit more about what are the risks of using the sidebars, right? So me as an end user, I'm using Chrome and I've got Gemini sidebar. Is there a risk of my data getting out there? How is that different than when I'm just as an end user using ChatGPT?
So that's a great question because one of the wrong perceptions in the market is that on one hand, we have these super sophisticated agents and coding tools. But when we think about a sidebar, we psychologically feel like we're just chatting with maybe with my Google search bar, right? And if I'm typing in a question in Google, that probably isn't risking too much information. This is completely different. So a Gemini sidebar on Chrome or an Edge sidebar that includes Copilot, these are sophisticated beings that have access to every one of my open tabs. So they're seeing all of my sensitive content. On the other hand, they're sending all of that content, including tabs which I'm not looking at right now. They're sending all of that context back to the LLM, back to the brains of that agent. Wow. And by doing that, what that means is that all of our sensitive data is leaving back into Google or Microsoft or whatever that browser is that we're using and is no longer under our controls. Wow. So here we come in again with our Mars our Mars browser capabilities, sidebar capabilities. And what we apply here is very similar to what I mentioned earlier. We can prevent prompt injection. We apply data security controls, threat prevention controls to ensure that that data doesn't leave to the LLM and doesn't poison the LLM to get goal hijacked.
Yeah, and that's so important because I think you're absolutely right. A lot of end users don't realize how much of a security risk using those sidebars actually is.
And as is tradition on this show, Jackie, I have to close out with, so what's the bottom line up front? If you're evaluating AI for government operations, without the guardrails that a platform like Mars, that's Menlo's Advanced Runtime Security, can provide, as organizations move from assistance to autonomous agents, the risk surface expands faster than traditional controls can keep up with. That means that agencies need visibility, governance, data protection, and runtime security, or they risk deploying one of the most powerful attack vectors ever introduced into mission environments. And in the end, that's the real battlefield, and that's why securing AI isn't optional. It's absolutely mission critical.
So,
exactly.
Jackie, we know that you love talking about what AI can do, and agencies need help understanding what AI should do and how to deploy it securely inside of mission environments. Our goal, with your help, is to help agencies assess their AI readiness, identify shadow AI exposure, map governance gaps, and define security requirements. We design architectures that integrate zero trust, data protection, and AI governance frameworks. We also enable agent security with runtime protections, DLP, prompt injection defenses, and monitoring using tools like Mars. And as part of our process, we align everything with federal mandates, executive orders, NIST AI RMF, DoD requirements, FedRAMP, and agency-specific compliance. In short, together, we help agencies move from experimentation to controlled, mission-aligned adoption.
Yeah, well, thank you. I love that we had the opportunity to do a fireside chat today, right? And thank you for having us back on the bottom line up front. I think this is something that's continuing to evolve. I love the fact that we're out there. We've been doing this for years for the humans, and now it's a very smooth transition for us to also do it for the agentic AI technology that's out there.
Well, again, Jackie, it's always a pleasure to have you on the BLUF. And Eric, pleasure to meet you. And we look forward to having you both back on an episode in the near future.
Hopefully we'll be on the next one and give you even more information about how we're continuing to help with the situation.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Be sure to reach out to ATP Gov today at www.atpgov.com or email info@atpgov.com or check us out on social media on LinkedIn. Thanks for listening, and be sure to subscribe to The Bottom Line up front wherever you get your podcasts, and stay tuned for more distilled insights from the front lines of tech and national security. So until next time, stay secure, stay mission ready.